Dungeons & Dragons has a lot of classic debates. Cure wounds versus healing word, fighters versus barbarians for a frontline tank. Should GMs ban some classes or try to fold them into the story? In the changing world of virtual tabletops and map generators, a new debate is raging: virtual or in-person play. When you can hop on a Discord call or a Roll20 game, why try to get schedules together and risk a cancellation for an in-person game? In this video, we're going to talk about why it's worth a few extra texts and a snack run to get a home game together, especially if you've only played virtually up until now. Playing in person has a host of benefits. Some are easier to put into words, and others you just have to experience. But 4 stand out above the rest. Well, 3 stand out and 1 towers over the rest. Of course, there are a bunch of other benefits and honorable mentions that make an in-person game a blast, but let's dig deep into those first 4. Number 1. There are more ways to be invested in the game. This is mostly for players that aren't the typical actor type. Playing online angles towards the actor, the player that wants to do voices and act out their characters. And of course, that's perfectly fine. Every table could use a few boisterous voices to fill out the drama. But that's not every player's cup of tea. Someone more interested in the secret plots of the game is limited to a Google Doc and some side chat online. But in person, they can launch into a full red string Pepe Sylvia theory over pizza. A more audience-oriented player who wants to be there to hang out as much as play is just a ghost in a voice-only game. But in person, they can share a few glances with other players as things get tense, or they can crack a joke without halting the game. In-person games let more people play the way they want to play. Number 2. It's easier to stay focused at the table. Playing in person helps people be in the moment. A dramatic monologue or a tense battle can be a flurry of activity and questions about spells and half-forgotten magic items in person. That same fight in a virtual game often goes a very different way. The fighter's dog is barking, and so they muted 10 minutes ago. The bard went to look up what the immovable rod does, but now they're scrolling through the dice options on D&D Beyond. And the wizard? He's texting their ex, and no one's there to tell him to stop. That's just another risk of the virtual game. Playing together lets people split their attention around the table rather than having to develop a monk's level of patience. Number 3. No technical difficulties. Basically, people can talk and connect in person without the internet interrupting. The GM can be talking to whoever's having their turn and can then field a question about contagion halfway through without needing to stop and reorient the session. A good joke can bring the house down without someone inevitably asking, "Wait, what did they say?" If you stop and think through your last few games, you have at least one good idea or solid plan that you almost said, but you just didn't want to interrupt. And then 5 minutes had gone by, and your genius plan to jump into the dragon's mouth and click your immovable rod is lost to time. Finally, number 4. You can see the rolls. This may sound like a minor benefit or even a bit of a joke when put up against the others, but this is the heart and soul of the home game. A tense moment builds up in a scene. The dragon flies overhead, circling over the city that you call home. The artificer's homemade net launcher is loaded, and this is the most important moment of the whole arc. Will this roll be relegated to a little desk-bound dice tray with no one to watch? Will a virtual die thump across a screen, leaving the party with a delayed celebration? Or will a lucky die, the same die that killed the evil bear in last arc, tumble across the table, where everyone can see, before spinning over onto a 19 with a satisfying thunk? These 4 features add up to a feeling of excitement that can transport you back to a friend's house over summer vacation. Pizza is on the way, and there's nothing to do but hang out. While a player with some acting chops goes toe-to-toe with the big bad, the barbarian can throw the rogue into their back like a javelin without having to constantly cut back and forth. 2 players can share a quick joke as you march through Avernus without it derailing the next 15 minutes of the game. When it's time to use the soul-trapping lantern to capture the hag Psychorax, the dice can tumble across the table, leaving everyone in suspense. So plan that road trip for the campaign finale. Rent that cabin for some eerie Halloween gaming. Give an in-person game a try and see if you don't end up wanting more. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, liking, and clicking on the video on your screen now for even more content. Stay foolish.